right, episode 6, Panic Room. Correction from last week. I said that episode was Dressed to Kill. That was the previous episode. I don't know where my wires got crossed there, but it was Death Becomes Her. Totally different movie.
Yeah, very different.
Correction. But this week, for sure, it's Panic Room. Okay? I triple checked. And if anybody says otherwise, I'm going to quit the channel forever. Because I looked a lot. Obviously based on the David Fincher film with Jodie Foster. You've probably never seen that.
Nope.
But
I think I've heard of it.
All right. So, we got Chucky here, and he is slowly morphing into Nika. He's getting himself around in a wheelchair. Although Nika these days is even worse off.
Oh my
than
gosh,
him.
so much worse off.
Yeah. Although, I don't know. Would you rather be armless and legless and young? Or would you rather be a doll that's old and about to die?
The first one.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Neither is a good option.
Yeah.
Neither is a good option. So we're dealing with a haunted house. Once again, anybody who's questioning any of this at this point, as far into this franchise as we are, with the voodoo and body swapping and so many other things, this is par for the course, in my opinion, and actually adds to it, because it's like, why not? If we're doing voodoo, if we're doing all this other shit, a haunted house isn't really much of a stretch.
Yeah.
Now, at the beginning, when there was like the Chucky did it, I was like, oh, is this Joshua that's like actually haunting the house? Because I think from what we gauged off of the timeline, he did die while they were there. I can't remember for sure, but putting all of that aside, I think it's pretty clear that who wrote that and is now haunting the White House is the president.
Yes. Yeah.
But then Chucky himself also writes the same thing. Chucky did it.
Yeah.
Which is interesting that they would both write the same thing.
I mean, Chucky's just vandalizing.
But he didn't see that, right? He didn't see...
I mean, I guess it's possible he might have.
I don't think
But I don't
did.
think so. I think it's just a coincidence, and he's just vandalizing with the same, like, so-and-so was here or whatever kind of a thing.
It's just odd that it's exactly the same,
Yeah.
So if it was, like Chucky was here, or, Chucky killed them all, or like, whatever, then I don't know. It's just the fact that it's Chucky did it both times, right? Like that was what it was, what was written both times. One in the elevator and the one in the room was Chucky did it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I found that interesting. Could even be, like, foreshadowing. Like, trying to warn, but I don't know. Can ghosts see the future? I don't know what kind of territory we're trying to leap into here. Now, something I should have called last week, and I did call at the beginning of this episode, but I only have you as proof. It was like a minute or two into this episode, you were like, well, what if it's, whoever is going to replace him? And I was like, wouldn't it be funny if it was a double played by Devon Sawa? And sure as shit, that's exactly what it ended up. I'm so bummed that I didn't think of that last week when we were doing this, because I would have been very happy with myself.
Well, and I just completely forgot that we already knew who the vice president was.
I thought that was an advisor. I didn't realize that guy who plays the therapist in Cult of Chucky and Lexi's dad and all that. I thought that was an advisor. I didn't think that was the VP, but
I'm pretty sure I think we got it confirmed earlier in the season last year. So I just totally forgot, but
I remember him in the Oval Office with him.
Yeah.
I just thought he was an advisor.
No.
If it's outright said he's the vice president, I just straight up forgot.
Yeah, I forgot. So.
That's fine. Yeah.
But it's pretty funny that Devon Sawa is the body double like that. I mean, because, it was just okay, who's it going to be? It's going to be Devon Sawa, and of course it is. Yeah. It's just the running gag with the show is how many characters can he play? And 5. I love it. I think it's really fun. I like that, he's so used in the show.
Yeah. 5 at this point.
Yeah.
And I don't see that changing anytime soon.
No, not at all. He's going to keep being, popping up with new characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, why would we change it at this point? And he's not the only one. Once again, the person who plays the VP.
Yeah.
If that really is a VP. I'm still not 100% on that. But people say it is. I guess it is. I thought that was something different. Anyway, moving on from that. So we get a nuclear launch opening credits.
Yeah.
Obviously foreshadowing what is to come. And I call bullshit as a parent, and having dealt with a mom who I have kids with, the fact that the First Lady here finds out her husband is dead after having seen what she saw, but also there's murders, and just the fact that her husband has been murdered.
Yeah.
The literal first thing any mother would do in that situation is immediately run and check on her kids. And it has to be like brought up to her, like your kids. And she's like, oh my God. And she like gets up and runs. It's like, there's no way she wouldn't immediately think to run to them and make sure they're okay.
She's in shock.
No, there's no excuse. I'm sorry. There's no way you would go and check on your kids first thing. But of course, because of how it was having to be written, with the kids not being let in on that their dad is dead, which is really fucked up.
Yes.
They had to write it this way.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just one of those things in the writer's room where they're like, well, we can't have her run to them. But I feel like you could have just had her run to them, and then, once they're okay, the guy like grab her and pull her out of the room and be like, you can't tell them. Mm-mm. Right? Because that just makes it more believable. The fact that she wouldn't think of her kids instantaneously just does not ring true to me at all. But it's a show. I don't know. As a parent, I'm like, dude, first thing you would think, have you checked the children lately?
Yeah.
That's what you'd be thinking about. And as far as the dad goes, they bring in a double. They are now planning on the double being sick and dying. Mm-hmm. Right. And they're going to have the optics of he died in office, very, FDR style. He's going to die while serving his term. And that's going to be better optics than he was murdered. Right. And so the dead dad isn't going to be let in to the kids, and they're going to have to watch their fake dad die.
Yeah.
Not knowing that their real dad is actually already dead. That's super twisted.
Super, super twisted. Yeah. And I mean, we didn't really get anything in this episode. We kind of got him trying to pretend to be the president, but not for very long, because obviously things get really crazy at the end of the episode. So he's just and Garrett, right? He notices right away that it's not his dad. He just already knows. But whether or not he would have been able to pull off impersonating the president and making it believable for the kids, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think it would have been very heartbreaking for them.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no good way to tell them for sure, but you got to tell them. But of course, it's always just putting these people aside because it's better for the nation and all this bullshit. But yeah, no, it's super screwed up. Anyway, and where the hell was I? Their reaction to him suggesting horror movies and them being like, absolutely not.
Yeah,
was funny.
It's pretty funny.
Of course, we get once again another reference or straight up use of "Don't Fear the Reaper."
Yeah.
And what did you call him? Garrison?
Garrett.
Or Garrett?
Yeah.
The older brother?
The younger brother?
The brother, Harry?
What's the younger brother's name?
Or Henry, sorry.
Henry. I don't know why I called him Garrett.
Henry, yeah. I was like, when you said that, I was in my head going, that's definitely not his name. And then I was like, I think it starts with an H.
Garrett,
and
I don't know who Garrett is or why that name is in my head. Henry, I was talking about Henry. Henry noticed that impersonator was not his dad pretty early on. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I just we're gonna get comments, and I'm trying to course correct. I even have it written down right here, Henry. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Anyway, and yeah. So we also have Lexi is actually into Grant, which we figured was the case, but you can clearly see it in this one. And why Henry isn't with his mother at all times at this point. Like, why he's just off playing with his doll in a haunted house where people just keep ending up being murdered, and she's not even, like, near them.
I mean, she's in a pretty bad state in this episode. Like, she definitely, I think, feels overpowered, overwhelmed, and, like, very, very stressed out. So, I don't know. I think that, like, it kind of it adds up that she would be, like, not keeping an eye on him because she's just like forgetful right now.
I mean, if you say so. I say bullshit. When it comes to your kids, you just figure it out. You just suck it up and you figure it out. But I don't know. Not everyone's me. Yeah. Right? And I just...
Well, and it's also like he's the president of the United States. He just died. Like, she's not just a regular mom. She's also like the president's wife. So like there's a lot going through her head.
Which to me is like when you take that position, you know the assassination of your husband is probable, right? Like that's something that can happen. And it makes it more likely that your husband could be killed.
Yeah.
Just kind of shockingly and out of nowhere. Right, if the past has anything to say about it. Even though we've only had a couple of presidents assassinated, it's just something that, is part of the gig.
Yeah.
And, she would definitely be fucked up. But I don't know. I feel like she would be a little more conditioned. And we, I'm talking about this like actual politics. Versus this is just a TV show where they're just like a regular married couple. But unfortunately, the reality of most politicians is a lot of people are just like put together, almost like, like when two families are married together.
Yeah, it's like an arranged marriage.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. We've got the president Ghost, who makes himself known to his wife, doesn't say anything, just scares the shit out of her by screaming with no eyes, very Event Horizon looking.
Yeah.
I don't really know what this is. I don't know if he's just a reminder. Is she just seeing him in her head? Like, I'm not sure what that is, but as I said, that's what's supposed to confirm that it was him that wrote Chucky. Did it on the wall, but he doesn't like try to talk to her. He's not trying to show her anything. It's not like he's guiding her through the house to like point out that the doll's alive or something. He just scares her.
Yeah, I think that with the paranormal expert that's coming, that'll be in the next episode. Yeah, that there's going to be some like seance that happens or something.
But they already know Chucky was like alive. They all just saw it in the panic room.
Yeah, but I think there's going to be even weirder stuff happening because like that person's already on their way there. Yeah. And now Charles Lee Ray's ghost, Chucky's ghost, is in the White House. So I definitely think that there's going to be some stuff happening as a result of that. Maybe he can possess people since he's a ghost.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know.
I have to wonder why Brad Dourif's Chucky that we see in ghost form is old, as opposed to the like black wig that's trying to look young, like he did in previous issues.
I think it's just because he's aged. Like his spirit has still aged, even though his physical body died when he was younger. He's been alive in Chucky. So I think that's why. It's just easier also from
Well,
like,
sure.
to not have to try and de-age him or like
But they don't
do anything
they've
like
never
that.
tried to de-age him. They just try to put on like a wig and this
Yeah.
and that. And I was surprised to see him old with gray hair, but it does kind of match to a degree.
Yeah.
The Chucky we see in this. It's just curious that they would go with a gray-haired Charles Lee Ray versus trying to make him look like, 20-something-year-old Brad Dourif. I don't know. I'm fine with it. As I said, I don't really care. I just found it interesting because anytime we've seen him in the past when we're doing a flashback, they don't recast. They just say, screw it. Let's just put a wig on him and say he's young. And I'm fine with that. It's just like one of those, you just suspend disbelief because I would rather it be Brad Dourif than not Brad Dourif. But to make him gray-haired I found interesting. But yeah, his spirit aged alongside of Chucky, having gotten this curse on him that aged him, and it actually literally aged his spirit. Which, yeah, that's actually kind of fascinating too, right? Because like if you are a spirit and your spirit remains young and vivacious, then you can keep coming back.
Yeah.
But even if your soul even gets so old and withered and weak, it can't even come back. So it's almost like he aged from the inside out.
Yeah.
So I like that.
I
don't know if that's what they're going for, but that's what we are going to say it is. Just for our own headcanon. And Chucky takes the president's eye for verification. We also get another pretty wild eye kill in here. The pen through the eye that like pushes and splits
crazy.
the eye.
Yeah. I liked that. It was pretty gnarly looking.
Yeah.
It was good. And it's also messed up because he's like, I'm pushing it through his frontal lobe, like, so he's aware when I do this, and like then he really impales him.
Yeah, I mean he's aware for the nanosecond after he hits it, which then kills him instantly.
Right.
So it's like he's aware of what? He's aware that you stuck it in there.
Yeah, yeah.
But when he's not aware for when the next thing happens because he dies instantaneously.
Yeah.
When you shove it through his head. I thought he was gonna like cut his fingers off or like do something torturous to the guy.
I think it's still pretty torturous to be like knowing that you're about to die.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I will say, and this happens on occasion. There's been shots here and there throughout this franchise, especially in the last, the seasons and the last couple movies. The doll almost always looks great. There's a lot of wonderful effects on him. But there's every once in a while we get certain shots in certain areas that look poor. And it's like, I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's you ran out of time or whatnot. But him standing on the table in the panic room when Jake and Lexi and all them come through, and we see him from kind of a distance standing on the table and from different angles, it looks pretty bad.
Yeah, I think that was a CGI issue.
Yes. But well, typically they just use the the puppet, and then they just edit out the guy controlling them.
Right.
But in this one, it looked like
it was full CGI.
I think it might just be full.
Yeah.
The whole thing, which it just looked bad.
Yeah.
I was wondering if instead they did try to edit out the puppet,
the puppeteer?
Puppeteers? I'm trying to think of puppeteers is good. And because of like the color scheme of the light, the red light, it was like harder to edit them out.
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't know. I was looking at it like, why does this look so bad?
Yeah.
So I don't typically think that with this show. I always think Chucky looks great, so it's always very noticeable when you get a really bad shot like that. So that was a shame, but it's pretty short-lived, and otherwise he looks phenomenal in all of his close-ups and everything. And Chucky picks a bunch of different locations.
He does.
One of them
is the North Pole.
Because
he wants all the kids to know that Santa doesn't exist when he dies.
He's just going for full evil.
Yes.
So Chucky then, they abort Russia, they abort that stuff, and then Chucky does nuke the North Pole, rip to those polar bears.
Yeah.
Do you think... Because, okay, what I think that nuking even an area with little to no population is such an evil act of such magnitude that would please Dumbulla.
I think that even if there's no human population that's hurt, I think that because all the children in the world are going to be like, Santa's dead.
That's what I'm thinking.
That it's going to be something with that.
The loss of faith that Santa is alive is what's going to save Chucky. If you would have asked me 100 different ways that Chucky was going to be able to revitalize his soul, that would have been nowhere on my list.
Yeah, mine either.
The show is always keeping you guessing, for sure. But yeah, I mean, the fact that Chucky lets off a nuke is, I would have liked to have seen him nuke like a city, something that's not retaliatorial, a country that doesn't have nuclear capabilities. Now that would be an absolute nightmare for for the UN, and America would be just absolutely dragged through the mud, right, left, and center for something like that. But it would start World War III. It would. I mean, there's really no way about it. You can't just unprovoked nuke a nation. So they said at the end of this that they're gonna say it was like a weapons malfunction, which then would put the United States in question of when's the next one.
Right.
We're lucky that it hit somewhere that wasn't densely populated. But I do think that, I don't know. I don't know if this is what gets him in the good graces of Dumbulla, right? I don't know if that's what happened there, or if Chucky just says, fuck it, he nukes, and then he gets so old he turns to dust, and this, cleanser that's coming, who's going to, was it parapsychologist? Yeah. They're the ones that is going to accidentally get Chucky back into a new doll. Mm-hmm. They're going to bring a Chucky doll with them.
Yeah, that would maybe be interesting.
God, it's been too long since we've watched it. The old doctor lady's dead, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder if who this person's going to be.
Yeah.
And if they're going to be somehow in cahoots. But at this point, Chucky is dead, and his ghost is just haunting the White House. How he's going to get into another Chucky body, I do not know. But that is inevitable. Just because we know that there's 2 episodes left, and that Don Mancini already pitched a 4th season, and he has a film on the way. Yeah. So Chucky ain't dead.
No, he's going to be in a Chucky doll pretty soon.
Yeah, how he's going to get into one?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, I wish I had a guess right now. But...
I don't have a guess, because I don't know.
Yeah. Any more to say about this one?
Nope.
No? Okay. Well, that's it for this week. Sorry we didn't get to this till the next day, but we had to watch Abigail and get back to you guys ASAP. So we did our best. And, we'll see you next week, all right?
Bye.